Everybody vamos, put up your manos. That was a time to unite all Chicanos, Latinos, and Los Estados Unidos. Don't care if you're Ricans or even Cubanos. Look at our coaches. We have more in common, don't let them divide. These suckers are vultures. Either we standing together or better be standing aside. That was the time, don't know about you, but I'm gonna ride. We gotta climb, fight for your Vegas, man, where was your pride? Where were the gunners that you got inside? Look how our ancestors came to this country. They tried to be living the American dream. Don't throw it away. They promise you money and got your agent for the machine. Pick a new team, you flesh socialism, but that is a system that you wanna bring. You need to think, we gotta fight communism, cause it look like we on the brink. Connect all the links, so one party system is taking the power from all of the people. We need to think, when will you listen? These people are evil and want you to sequel, so what is your plan? Hand in hand, we're standing together, cause it's the one never to do what you can. Please understand, we gotta do better, so walkers remember that we took a stand. Escúchame, 24 es el año, si se puede. Lucha, lucha por la libertad. Órale, vamos.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Latino Free Minds, episode number 75. On this episode, we have Mandi Peña, who is the state director in Washington for LUCA, which is Latinos United for Conservative Action. And then, obviously, we have Danny on the show, too, who is also a member of LUCA, but in California. How you doing, Mandi?
Hey, I'm doing good. Glad to join you.
And you, Danny? How's everything?
Doing good. It's a little warm over here in Northern California. I don't know if it's because of all the gaslighting that we're getting, but
Yeah, it is.
How about you, Mandi? How's the weather up there?
Oh, it's good over here. But the good thing about Washington is when it's hot and warm in the daytime, the good old evening kicks in. It's nice and breezy and windy. So we're lucky up here.
Nice.
Can't complain.
Yeah, you
But
guys
I know that yesterday you guys had like very, very high temperatures, so hot that some folks was going without power for a little while.
Yeah, it happened at my
Daniel was
house.
one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it went out for a few hours. So, because I sent you a message, it was like around 2, right, or something like that, and it had just gone off, and I was like, oh my god, I was like, I don't know if it's gonna come back on. So I sent her a message, be like, hey, just in case, my power.
Yeah.
I was like, I live in California and it's hot, so we have to shut our power off.
Right, but so like, what a good talking point, like in regards to this warm weather talking point, right? But it was one given to us, right? So like the hot weather is so hot. I think you guys said up into the hundreds it was, and so you have families, kids, and whatnot, and it's dangerous, with that hot upper hundreds, and you're afraid. You gotta worry about the refrigerator. You gotta worry about keeping the little ones cool, So just, I wonder if it's because there's so many of them electric vehicles and all the power grid, if it was that, or, how does the power go out on a hot day?
Yeah, that's the thing out here that makes zero sense about like the push for electric vehicles.
Yeah.
And our grid in California, I guess, not being able to handle it. So I don't understand. I don't think nobody understands why there's such a huge push for it.
I think I understand.
It's a good thing to mention what was going on with your technical difficulties, because it's reality. It's pretty hard to reschedule everything, right? Just because of the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Hey Nicole. Hey Art. How you doing? They're over here on the chat. But I'm in the automotive industry.
All me, I can't see anything, but it's okay.
I'm in the automotive industry, and just today I was having a conversation with a technician, and he was going, hey, I need to get up to date with all the new vehicles and everything, get my certifications, because in 3 years, we're supposed to be all electric, supposedly, in California.
Wow.
So, to the point that you were making is, if we can't handle the grid right now, and if we do the math on or percentage on the electric vehicles out there right now, I'm pretty sure that percentage is low of the vehicles out there on the road. Can you imagine in 3 years? I mean, they can't even fix potholes. Arnold Schwarzenegger's out there filling the potholes in his neighborhood. Um, but we're supposed to have, a electric grid that can handle all electric vehicles. It's ridiculous.
No, that's the one thing when I see
Oh,
people pulled off on the side of the road waiting for the little charging stations, and I just go,
Oh
all right,
yeah.
well, I'm just gonna put gas, 5 minutes, boom, I keep it moving. I don't have the
Not even
patience
5 minutes.
I don't have the patience to just be sitting there waiting for some car to charge.
Hey, but you know where they get you is the rebate. So
that yeah, the
some,
tax rebate.
some yep, someone was telling me he's been into muscle cars for the longest time. You know him, Vic,
Yeah,
Daniel from work, and um and he was trying to sell me on Teslas now. He's like,
damn.
hey, I went and got a Tesla for my daughter, and I got a rebate. It was like $7,500 rebate, and I can power up free at these stations and whatnot. And the payment is really low. Man,
Mhm.
they're really trying to push everybody um, to get those electric vehicles.
My I have three children. So I have a 17-year-old daughter, 14-year-old daughter, and 9-year-old son. And my oldest, for the past not now, but past year and a half, she wanted a Tesla. Like I want a Tesla. Like I really want this vehicle. And even like she understands. Like mom, we get to the gas station and she's like, "What's that Tesla? Oh, that's the electric vehicle station." Like I'm talking, there's never less than 10, maybe 15 people waiting, not including people that are already, what is it? What would you call it? Charging up.
Charging. Hmm.
Yeah, so it just takes so much time, and I mean, I think I heard, I mean, I don't know like everything specifically, but like we had the so what is it? So we've got the electronic vehicles, but then we've got the ones that have like the eco, so it's gas, but also
Oh, the
The
has
hybrids?
like,
hybrids.
Yeah.
yeah, there you go, perfect. That's what's up. Yeah, that right there. And it seems that that's actually, that was pretty good. It's been doing really good. You can charge it at home. You don't always have to use it. I've never owned one on my own. Like, I definitely, uh, I'm a second generation Mexican American, so I definitely know my American muscle cars and hot rods, the old school Hudsons, just the American muscle. The auto industry. We have a we're lucky up here, and I'm just thankful that we have that opportunity still, and that's really why it's so important that we always come together and just link up from state to state,
Hmm.
county to county, and communicate. Like just it's not like so much as you know, I want to get you to vote this way or do this, but it's more so just sharing knowledge. And, like I said, she's 17 now, a year and a half ago, all she could say was, Tesla, I need a Tesla, I need a Tesla.
Hmm.
And now, just like I said, 17 years old, just turned 17 in February, and she's like, this isn't realistic, Mom. Remember the power went out in our house on a sunny day and everyone was freaking out. My friends were texting me. Everyone was, saying, "What's going on with the power?" And then to hear with California hitting the 100 degree mark, and power going out, it's just something that I think we should always just talk about what's going on with everyone, and we can, you know, compare and contrast, and everyone can form their own
Hmm.
opinions, and you can see, electric vehicles is a great thing, but not
Yeah.
so much as ruling out one for the other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And we've talked about this before too, is that innocence of either young kids, whether they're toddlers or teenagers, young adults and stuff like that. um they see common sense and they'll just kind of blurt it out, right?
Yeah.
And when we're getting gaslit that this is good for us, right, for the environment, when those lithium batteries are so bad for the environment, right? And I don't know how much pollution they create to actually make the cars and the lithium batteries, and then you can't even dispose of them because they're so toxic. So they call out all that BS, but the older people fall into the trap of them being safe. So I always say this is like we got to tap into that inner child and just like look at, you know, common sense. Just go back to like common sense, and
And
that's
not be
it.
afraid to speak. Yeah, with what comes to mind. Don't be afraid to speak on that. Common sense. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
And
go ahead.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say so for Mandy, if she wanted to kind of let us know how she got involved with Luca and how kind of her little journey there.
Oh yeah, for sure. So with Luca, so Luca, Latinos United for Conservative Action. So one of the things that's really important to me to say when if I ever talk about Luca is you do not have to be Latino, Hispanic, any specific, anything. It's more so, aligning along, you know, um, more of the, conservative. Like I would say, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not independent. I am more so, I have conservative values, so, and it lines up more so, yes, with the Republican Party. But, so I'm, like I said, mother of three, second generation Mexican American. So, being born in the United States comes with so many, just you're born with rights that so many people really don't, unless you either have family that are born in other places of the United States, or you have family that tells you their stories. You really kind of are. I wouldn't say born with entitlement, but we're born with so much of a blessing. We have the right to, the right to religion. We have our Second Amendment rights. We have so many rights just that we get just being born in the United States of America. So growing up, I couldn't really I wasn't not fully bilingual, so I couldn't really communicate as much with my grandparents and my family, but they would always, we always still communicated with just you know eye contact, communication, and coming together and just working to learn the language. And I was always told, mija, no worries, do not be ashamed that you can't fluently speak Spanish. You know, I am just so thankful to know that my family, my children, their children, and their children's children, we are Americans and we are here. So I'm half Hispanic and half Norwegian and German. So I would say straight down the middle. My grandmother is Spaniard, and my grandfather is from Guadalajara. So just knowing the gift and the blessing of being an American citizen, having just we are able to vote, we are able to show up at school board meetings when we learn that things are going on that you could have never imagined, right? So we just have so many rights, and it's a gift. And so I recently back in 2022 I had a went in for a procedure and it came out just never the same. So just kind of long story short, I ended up having a spinal cord injury. And so when you're a mother with like I said, three children, and you're sitting there in a hospital bed wondering, man, there's so many things that you know they had to learn. And so getting out of the hospital bed and having my mind strong and focused on just trusting and believing in positivity and believing that whatever I'm also I believe in the Lord Jesus, and so my faith is very a big part of my life, and that's what helped me to really get through that hospital situation. And getting out, I said if I get out, I want to be able to say good night to my children and good morning. Well, I'm able to walk and talk and do many things. And prior to the injury, Tony Antonio Renteria, our CEO of LUCA,
Mhm.
he had shared a video and it said comment where you're from if you're seeing this video. And so I put Washington in there, and he says, Mandy, get a hold of Melinda. She's our president. And I've actually known her since probably I would say 2016, since the yeah, 2016. just follow each other on social media. And, I admire her. She's an incredible mother, woman. She is just an awesome person, and I'm thankful to call her my friend and my sister. She's, really working hard with Luca. And so I'm like, I will take you up on this offer because they had offered me, would you like to join? And, we don't have anyone in Washington yet. So I was able to join and become the Washington State Executive Director. I'm also the Communications Director. So, just joining Luca based on, coming through a health situation, knowing that people want to come together who share, you know, the same faith, meaning that, we believe in the Lord. Luca, it means bring our light. And, as a child of God, one of the most amazing gifts that we have is people don't always see what they have, but, we have a light of Jesus that shines through us. And to be able to come and join my good friend Melinda and the CEO Tony, and really work on getting Luca, known in Washington State. We've grown exponentially since I joined officially. I believe it was like say January 1st, 2024. And I'm just honored to be a part of this organization. We're a grassroots organization. We volunteer our time, and we go into different areas in our communities where we see fit, and we make our voices heard. Sometimes we make our voices heard for the voiceless, like in Washington State. Um, you know, Abortion is, that's one of the things that, is something that people have that choice if they believe that, that they have the right to choose, to not keep a child. And myself personally, I actually had one miscarriage and I had one abortion, and that was when I was 20 years old. And I live with it every day, and I know God says, "Don't ever, I forgive you. You need to know I forgive you." And so that's something daily. God has forgiven me. I need to forgive myself. What can I do? So being a voice for the voiceless and speaking up for those who maybe aren't able to speak up and say these things. It's important that women share what they've been through so that, the younger generations can, not always be ashamed and know, hey, I have done something maybe that I wish I never did, which I'm referring to abortion. And, having 3 children, I look at them and I'm like, man, they would be here, but I know, they're in a better place, and I will get to see them one day. And thankful for that. But so that's pretty much why, other than like coming through a house situation, why I've jumped in, both feet in to this grassroots organization, LUCA, because not just with the unborn, giving them a voice, but just the voiceless as our other citizens who don't feel that they can speak up. So it's an honor to be able to speak on behalf of myself in Washington State, and I'm really honored to get to come up on Latino Free Minds, reminded Latinos. This is a wonderful platform. I'm really, really thankful to be here.
Thank you for coming on.
No, and what you said is very powerful because Daniel and I were having a conversation. I think it was 2, 3 days ago, and
Yes.
we were talking about um, how people that have gone through, well, women that have gone through abortions, and how it affects them not just in the moment, but long term, the long term effects of that, um, and kind of like what you were speaking to. Um, People that actually have gone through those situations are speaking up against it because they know the experiences and the effects of going through that. So that we commend you for doing that. There's a lot of people that may be thinking about going down that route, but don't think 2, 3 steps ahead of how it's going to affect them in the future.
Hmm.
And there's also so many people who are unable to have children.
Mm.
And, you know, there's, I really believe that it's been genocide on the unborn. So many lives gone unspoken about because that factor of I guess we should say shame is what women, they feel shame. I mean, I have been given a gift, and how could I make that choice to take a life? And even when I made that choice, I was in college. I was about to graduate with my business degree with a minor in technology, and it was sold to me on. I didn't have medical, but I did. I was able to go here and have free treatment for women for their reproductive, whatever may be. And it was kind of sold to me as, oh, you have the control. You can choose. Do you want to have the baby now or wait? And I ended up after that. So I had my first child, and then my daughter was born, and it was very close to when my second child was born, and I was worried about the stress and the finances, and it just now to reflect on it and how sad that so many women and men go through that thought of, I can't afford this, or what am I going to do? And it's really we as a community of people surrounding our family members, even just our neighbors, and say, we're here. What can we do? You know, life is a gift, and so many women and of my friends of mine that are women that have gone through IVF and trying to freeze their eggs so they don't miss out on opportunities. And I just think with the internet, so many people are able to learn and gain. It's 100% for me. It's due to I have a God who is loving. He is our creator. He is my best friend, as my father. You know, I actually, other than with LUCA, I'm an only child, and my mother wasn't. They tried for 7, almost 8 years, and they had me, just me, one child, and so being only child growing up, it's lonely and whatnot, but there's so much out in the communities for whether you are an only child, whether you are a single mother, whether you are, you know, a victim of domestic violence, whether you are maybe recovering addict in any way. There's so many resources that are out there, and with this internet, we're able to find and learn more now than 10 years ago. So, people who may be thinking of having an abortion because either they're scared or ashamed or they've been lied to like I was, which is you can choose, is now the right time, or would you rather graduate, get a good paying job, then have, like that isn't how life works. And, you know, after having an abortion, I didn't have another child for 8 years. And I was actually, I have a very serious, they call it disease, you can't die from it, but it's endometriosis. And this
Mm.
is something that a lot of women have, or fibroids and different things. And, you never know what the woman's body could end up with down the road. And you may not have that opportunity to give life later on when you're thinking, oh, yes, I'm going to listen to what I've been sold, which is, it's not the time now. Oh, it's not a big deal. No, it is a big deal. And, you know, I'm just so honored to know and be learning more and more every day about different women and men and organizations that stand behind women who, like I say, are in fear or scared and don't have the financial resources, and they provide diapers, clothing. If they're unable to breastfeed, formula, you know, just bassinets, cribs, even school clothes when your children are getting into the age of, going in and getting their education. So it's just there's so many resources out there, and we're really lucky to have the internet and to be able to. It's really I feel it's a responsibility to share. What we've been through, and hopefully if someone else out there can relate. If you're unable to raise your gift of a child, there's so many people who would love just the opportunity to have a child and give them safety and food and love and raise them. There's just so many different ways of giving your child up for adoption where you can either be a part of that child's life. There's actually new laws out that if you're under 18, that they allow that parent, once they turn 18, the mother or father, to have the ability to know their child. Because
Hmm.
if you're young and you get pregnant, you don't expect that. I'm going to give my child away, I'll never see him again. Or, there's just a lot of negative. The devil's very good at feeding you with a lot of negative thoughts
Hmm.
that hold us back. So just speak out and know that any child is a gift. And I mean, I truly believe that only God can give and take life. And the time that we have here is, short. And we're
Hmm.
lucky. And, every single day, just take advantage. Take advantage of any opportunities you have, whether it's, joining a grassroots movement and speaking about your beliefs and your local politics, your local city council, school boards, just being a
Hmm.
part of this community that you're in.
Yeah, no, that's true. And it's, like Danny was saying, we were talking the other day, and fear is something that gets used a lot, right? To I guess you could say manipulate people in different aspects of life, right? Um, and we see it through that, right? Like you said, abortion, right? A lot of abortions are because of fear of financial stability, or not being ready. um when it came to COVID, it was fear of getting sick, or fear of being responsible for someone else dying. So I think fear is a huge, like you said, the devil's good at giving us negative stuff. And I feel like it's been a lot of negativity to scare people into doing things that maybe they don't really want to do. Or I think Danny said, where they don't think, a couple steps ahead. It's just, they want you thinking
Yeah.
in the moment, or like, oh, how's it gonna, how big of, an issue will it be right now? And it's like, yeah, everybody goes through life. They get different points. There's highs and lows. And it's sad, right? It happens. It's sad. And but like you said, like you're doing, right, you move on, you have your family now. And you appreciate life as it is, right? And just kind of going back to the devil and the negativity. It's like, that's why what they're doing in the schools too, to kind of tie it into that, is what we got to keep focused on, right? They remove God from school, and then they're adding all this crazy curriculums, and things that they're trying to throw it, in our kids' faces. And I know we deal a lot with that in here in California, and you're in Washington, which is, it seems like California, Oregon, Washington is pretty lined up as far as beliefs and government types. So how are
When it
you
comes to
seeing
the
that in
government,
your
not the
state?
people, but the
No,
government,
the government, yeah.
definitely.
How are you seeing that stuff, like with the schools in Washington?
Yes, I'm so glad that you brought that up. So yeah, um, I live in Snohomish County, in Washington State, and I would say, you know, there's a lot of talk about California and all of the bills that have passed, bills that are coming down the pipeline, and different things. Washington State, I would say back in 2012, is when it really started for us as parents and with students. So my daughter, I received a letter saying your daughter is 12. Um, we no longer, so if your daughter needs medical services, we no longer have to, you don't have to. Basically, it was just a letter saying you are no longer involved. She is of this age, 12 years old, and going forward, we will communicate with our student in regards to anything that goes on with them at school, health, even not even school, healthcare, going to the doctor, just anything. And definitely, I would really zero it in on with the COVID, with the governors getting
Mhm.
the, I would say like the people who have the power, right? Like, you're a governor already, but then with the COVID, it became an emergency powers act, and things were enacted into the school system that really started, like I say, for Washington State in 2012. and that started with children and their health care. Fast forward from 2012, 2014, our vaccine schedules began to have like influenza, different things other than the DTaP, the normal ones that I would say normal because, like, my oldest is 17, so it was normal, like, the vaccine schedule. I just did it. It was what was best for her. But she actually, after her second year in school, ended up coming down with what they diagnosed as a developmental delay. And so, but just like, so they would do tests with her in the schools, right? And it's so important in whether you're in elementary or middle or high school, if something comes up with education, the parents or grandparents, whoever's with that child, it's important to include them so when they're home and they leave school, they can focus on what they need to and work in those areas to learn and overcome those, areas where they may struggle, right? So involving the parents is so important. Like I said, 2012, 2014, and then 2020. 2020 is with the COVID. And so with 2020, what happened with the schools was whether it was public or private, it didn't even carve out something for homeschoolers, whether you were in daycare, child care, any after schools activities, whether it was, you know, uh, related to your school district or, you pay for a different sort of sports activity. There's just a blanket. COVID vaccines were required. You must wear masks. And that's when it really woke a lot of other people up. When I say other, I mean getting that letter in 2014 really woke me up. And then, the new things that are so new, like the HPV vaccine added as a requirement for girls. And it started so just to kind of make sure I'm not all over the place with this, because it is a very large topic. Like, there is no just, COVID or what year. It kind of slowly evolved, and vaccines have worked their way onto the vaccine schedules. Like when there's a vaccine and there's 30 years research, we kind of, we know what to expect. And people being an American citizen, we have the right to choose, are we going to vaccinate our children with this? Is this something that is really necessary? So with the HPV vaccine started you would see commercials and the doctors would say at 13, you must vaccinate your child, your daughter, it was started as. And so the human papillomavirus, I believe I said that right. And so when I was in school, it was called the kissing disease. So they would say, don't drink after someone, germs, don't share them, you can get this. So then the HPV vaccine was something that was required of the age of 13-year-old female when you go to your doctor, your physical for sports. Then now, fast forward to today, after going through what we've been through with the COVID and the COVID vaccines and the blanket vaccine schedules, how everything has been added, and there's no really carve-outs for, people that have severe allergies. One of my children has very severe allergies. Like I said, my oldest, 2 years after receiving a multiple series of vaccines, she completely changed with her learning, and she was diagnosed with developmental delay. So there's just so many things that it takes researching, and don't just be told by a doctor, we require this, this is on the vaccine schedule, you need this. Now fast forward to 2024, I'm hearing and seeing children at the age of 7, 8, and 9 that are being recommended by their pediatricians and the school for the vaccine schedule in Washington State to have that HPV vaccine, like I said, which was, back when I was in school, and I graduated 2004. So back when I was in school, it was the kissing disease. Don't drink after people, and then fast forward to now, there's a vaccine for it. There seems to be a vaccine for everything. So I would just say, if you're gonna, anything going on with your child, you know your child better than anyone. And I would say if there's something that you're recommended, just to look into it, investigate, find out for yourself. So that's what I started doing, like I said, years back. But now, fast forward to COVID and Washington State and the governor having, like I say, so much emergency powers act is what it was. So much control over so many different areas, whether it be a man or woman who's working, or whether it be a student going to school or playing sports. Um, it's just affected everyone. And so this past legislative session, sorry about that. Um, there was Jim Walsh. He is an incredible voice for the people of Washington State. And, it's not about what he wants, it's about what the majority wants. And he's done a really good job at, bringing the voice of the citizens to Olympia, our state capital. And a lot of parents and people have shown up at the capitals and have started learning and realizing that we have to show up and have our voices heard. So this legislative session, which is now going into effect, it started beginning of June. So we have now, there has been a law passed, I want to say it's 1844 that was passed for parental rights are being restored into the public school system. Um, that's a huge win. Just
Mm-hmm.
because parental rights is a huge thing, like I say, vaccines, medical, sports, education, it affects everything. So parental rights is really important. Like we've heard so many um, state and local officials speak on behalf of our children when they're our responsibility once they're 18. They have their rights and their own decisions they can make, but really, they're our children, and it's our responsibility to feed, clothe, make sure they're educated, make sure they, you know, if they have to go to the doctor, they have allergies, whatever they need be, that is taken care of and addressed. And that they have fun too. It's our job to make sure they get out in
Yeah.
the sun and have fun too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So,
it can't all be serious
yeah.
all the time, you know? We gotta have fun as we live this life. But, kinda to touch on what you guys said about, God, I heard this awesome quote is that, you take God out of school and the devil slides right in, and you can apply that to, every facet. They're trying to take away God, from the government. I know that some city council meetings, they start off their session with, Pledge of Allegiance, and then they're referencing God in the Pledge of Allegiance, and they're taking that away. So it's the same thing. You can apply it to, every part of life. Um, but I also wanted to tell you a story about a vaccine. What did you call that vaccine that they wanted to give the
HPV.
girls?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
So that one, I actually took my son to a physical when he was about 14 or 15, and they actually wanted to give him that vaccine at that same time too. So at some point, they try to give it to the boys too.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. 2012 to
it,
2014, I think, is when it started.
yeah. So the doctor he went in for a physical, but as everybody knows, they try to do while you're at the doctor is push all the vaccines that they have there on their list, which they get incentives from. If they're able to get the patient to take the shots. But and this is what I encourage people to do if you are in that situation. At that point, I had already done some research, like you mentioned that you did, and I started questioning the doctor. I'm like, how much research is behind this shot, this vaccine? And he started reassuring me that they do the right thing and that it's regulated. And I go, well, I haven't heard too much of it, and I was, I was giving him resistance. I knew that I wasn't going to allow him to take the shot. So at the end of it, the doctor tries to make a good point to me by saying, well, look, the hospitals are not going to do anything bad for the patients. For example, there was this other vaccine that was found that wasn't doing too well, so they pulled it, so they're no longer giving it to people. And where I got them, and I go, and how long was that vaccine out for? And then he kind of like said, uh, and didn't have an answer for me. And after that, he piped down, didn't try to push it anymore. because he made my point. Exactly what, the reason why I was telling him that I don't want my son to take that vaccine.
Did you want
So
to do more research? Yeah, I mean that's what we should always. That was awesome. Exact that you hit it right on the money right there. And
yeah,
when you're in an appointment and you are asking questions, that's your job, right? To advocate for your child and to know like as much as you can. That's that's
yeah,
just happening all too much to where people aren't questioning, and I think that we owe it to the youth and the generations to come to question things. You know,
Mhm.
you did an
yeah. And
awesome job
it's
with that.
a
With that, like, yeah,
it's a big thing right now because a lot of truth is coming out, and there's a lot of positivity coming out right now. Um,
yeah,
for everybody that doesn't know, Fauci's been getting grilled by Congress, um, and they're having congressional hearings. And one of the things that they played on one of those hearings is him talking about fear. So he's
Mhm.
basically said that we had to instill fear in the public so that we can get them to comply. So if anybody thinks that those are conspiracy theories, when they're pushing fake science, vaccines, and things like that, or mandates, which aren't even laws. I don't, we've spoken to several different people, and they can't even say, what a mandate really is or how it's enforced or anything like that.
yeah,
So um, we have to be diligent. We have to pay attention to the fear that they're pushing for us to comply and identify it at the same time. And Daniel and I, this, started the podcast because of the manipulation. And that's exactly what that is. They're manipulating us.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, no,
I
that
agree. I agree. You know, when there's no pushback, you know, anything will fly. So if you have what I mean by that is, you know, just a reference to, like I said, I went through the same situation where, you know, something is said, hey, you know, this will help your child or this will help you. So you ask those questions. How long has it been around? You know, what are the negative effects? Because there's for what there's positive, there's always negative. So
yeah,
you know, everyone is different. Like I said, one of my children has very severe allergies. So I mean, he's affected differently by things than my other two children are. So
yeah,
you know, we always should speak up and never ever. I mean, if anything, that should just make you want to question everything. When you
mhm.
realize, well, I stumped my child's doctor. Hold on. So you look more into it and you're like, wait a minute, why was this? And just in reference to the HPV, you know, and this goes on with other vaccines, with so many other things. But when you take a moment to put the effort to learn and see what is going on and what's being pushed on our younger generation, it's so important. I mean, there's a lot of focus on the the big elections, the president, who's running the RNC, the who's running the DNC, you know, big lights, big show, all these things. But you know, I think you've touched a lot of about this, both of you and your other gentleman that's on your podcast have touched on state and local, and there's so much going on all over. Like I've really been blessed to go through a health situation to say, turn the TV off, take the time, get to know your children, see, what your family, what they have to say, what people are experiencing in your local community. And, if we don't stand up and say, I'm going to get in my vehicle or I'm going to walk down the road and I'm going to attend this, you know, city council meeting or I'm going to attend this school board meeting. I want, there's just so much that seems to be going on. Maybe, what will it hurt, right? So, I mean, the more we learn, I mean, all we can do is learn more and see, you know, how much just a parent or a team of people in a community stand up and show up and make their voices heard to us. You know, my children are in school for reading, math, science, sports, PE, these just the main, right? But then it's just been so many other things that have been pushed on our youth and our children. And my children are homeschooled. They were homeschooled prior to this injury that happened almost 2 years ago, and it was because of the requirements for the vaccinations, and it was
Mm-hmm.
also because of the highly explicit sexual things that were being pushed on my children. And one of the biggest things for me is, like, number one, I am a child of the Lord, and I am just so thankful for that. And so I come at a lot of things, even if I disagree with someone. I'm able to come at situations where I see you as a human. We're both humans, and have some empathy. We
Mm-hmm.
never know what the person beside us in the grocery store, or the person walking down the sidewalk passing you has gone through. We don't know.
Yeah.
So just if anything, share the empathy, share the moment to where none of us are perfect. We have all been through things as human
Yeah.
beings that others can always relate. And I just feel it's so important never to say, I'm right, you're wrong. What I believe is right, what you believe is wrong. We are Americans, and we have that gift to believe whatever we want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, whether it's religion, whether it's based on education, whether it's based on, you know, just anything in someone's life. We should where we are after, as a global humanity, we've gone through with the COVID, I was agenda. It should have taught us all to stop, wait a moment, take a step back, and question things. Like you said with Fauci, coming full circle and him having to answer for the things that he said and the things that he's done. And one of the big things is, whether it's in government, whether it's with doctors, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
with anything, follow the money. And when you see how much money has been paid out, not just for COVID, but for all vaccines and for all just the pharmaceutical industries, it's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I just hope that, and I pray that people wake up and see that the person next to them is just as human as they are, and we need to, sometimes just put our hand over our mouth, breathe, and listen, and see
Mm-hmm.
what other people have to say, because no one is watching your shoes, and and we don't know what tomorrow will bring for us all as humanity, as a world. So with COVID, people lost jobs, income, you know, lives. I've
Mm-hmm.
had family members. I mean, and just speaking truth into my reality is the family member. I actually myself, I caught COVID. It was actually in October 2019. Myself and my 3 children got it, and I'm telling you, it felt like the worst flu in the world. I didn't know it was COVID then, but it was. And we found out that it was actually circulating in October in Washington State. This was the first place that COVID registered on the, I believe it was a elderly care facility, and then it just blew up, right? And it was in different states, one after another. So just I think COVID should have taught. Well, I won't say should have, but COVID taught me that, wow, let's always question even the people who we elect to be, our leaders for our state, right? Because it's so important with LUCA that we focus on community, one community at a time, one state at a time. And that's why, Melinda, she's been working really hard at growing LUCA to get us in every state possible. And it's not just LUCA. There's Lexit, there's Latinos for Trump, just there's so many. There's Moms for Liberty. There's just so many organizations that have grown out of, I don't know, just the utter control of the ruling class, and
Yeah.
wanting to say, each state, each community, each town, we all matter. But no one's gonna stand up for our town like we will, because we're here, right? We
Right.
know what's going on. And like you guys are in California, I mean, have you guys seen any positive, responses so far? Like I from an out of state viewer for California, I have family there, a lot of good friends. Um, what I've noticed in the past 9 months is no one is questioning; they're just sharing. Because if it doesn't affect them, it might affect somebody they know, so they share things.
Hmm.
And I mean, I have just seen an explosion of people taking the time and wanting to learn what's going on with their own communities and what they can do to make a difference, right? Because we might not be able to affect, another state, but we can affect where we are just by 1 to 2 people showing up asking questions. One person maybe doesn't believe in voting, thinks it's a waste of time. You
Mm-hmm.
know, okay, if
Hmm.
it's a waste of time, like maybe I think I heard someone say, I think it'll take you 15 minutes, and what a different nation the United States of America would be if every person who felt either disenfranchised or felt voting is a waste of my time. If they said, I'm gonna waste 15 minutes, it's a waste of my time because I'm gonna go with a friend of mine who just won't stop bugging me about it. I'm gonna go and vote and see what a change that would be. I know that in California, a good friend of mine, she's an incredible. She's my sister in the Lord. She's incredible. Denise Aguilar Mendez.
Mm-hmm.
She started with uh, a good friend of hers. They were going down to the Capitol, and they, were starting to learn like what we're speaking about, like the HPV, different vaccines, and things that were not, would you like your child to have this? It was being forced. So that forced them to say, wait a minute, I want to go and learn about this. And now,
Well,
fast forward to
let me
2024,
let me tell you something
uh,
real quick about that
yeah,
because you
yeah,
asked if noticed the difference.
uh-huh,
So with Denise, um, you know, we're supporting her, of course, and I've actually last weekend I went out canvassing for her, in support. But I didn't know that she knew my daughter, and my daughter homeschools.
oh,
So it's just to show you how it's a small world, and these connections that we're making do make a difference because um, this weekend my daughter was here. She brought the grandkids over, and we were spending the day together. And she goes, "Yeah, I was talking to Denise in the past, and she told me that she homeschooled her kids this way, and she got this curriculum and whatnot." And they were sharing
yeah,
information and ideas and stuff like that. But I knew that they had known each other, but not to that length, where they actually had a conversation about that type of stuff.
yeah,
So it just shows you how really important it is, for people to communicate. And what you were saying about Luca earlier is, over, you know, the beautiful thing that the internet can be in social media is that people can connect for something good and spread the message that way. Because it's almost like taking a tool that the fringe left has used it uh, for so many years to divide us, and we kind of flip it
and
on them and use it to get us
unite.
together, and build back the division that they've created, because they want to keep us sheltered, they want to keep us closed off in fear and not talk to our neighbors, our family members. So I just needed to share that with you.
Yeah, no, and
Oh,
to
it's
kind of
funny, and
and to add a little bit on California, and it's like I
yeah,
have seen a move in a positive direction. I think Danny from the first episode has said we're the majority here in California, um, and I think he said something that if the 99% voted, the 1% wouldn't matter, which is true, and here in California, because you kind of to connect it to all the stuff you're talking about the vaccines, right? How when you're talking about medications and getting vaccines and all that, there's always the side effects to it. And I remember, during COVID, they didn't want to say any of the side effects. There was no side effects, right? It was supposedly good for 100% of the population of this world.
miracle.
Yeah. But, you know, like I said, moving in the right direction. It's like California has the lawsuit going on right now, where the District 9 court, which is one of the most liberal district courts in the country, is allowing a lawsuit against the Los Angeles Unified School District because of the vaccine mandates, or whatever, the shot mandate, because it's not
No,
really a
yeah,
vaccine, I
yeah.
guess now. So
No, no, yeah.
go ahead.
No, no, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly what
So
it was.
it's moving in a good direction, and that's gonna open a lot of doors because again, Danny has said it too. It's like the one way we're going to be able to get these people back is through class action lawsuits, and this case that's going on right now is a huge door that can open for that, not just here in California, but it says precedents for the entire country and the entire world, right? There's other lawsuits in other countries already going after these pharmaceutical companies that we're pushing all this stuff and not being honest, right? About what it could cause, and we're seeing it nowadays with all the vaccine injuries that there have been. The rises in what is it called, excess deaths. So we have more people dying since the shot came into effect. The rate of death is higher in these past 3 or 4 years than it's ever been, and is it a coincidence? I mean, I don't
And
think
it's in the
So
so.
many
younger, it's
coincidences, right? Just so many.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's in the younger demographics too. So here's another explosion that's happening in California, and I'm sure it's happening everywhere else too. Is I'll give you an example. I was getting a haircut, and the lady that cuts my hair, she's been cutting my hair for I don't know over 20 years or whatever. And her daughter, she's a nurse. She's an RN, right? So she believed in the hype about the vaccine and it was good for you. It didn't harm you or anything like that. Now she's bringing up conversation with me, telling me how people that she's cut their hair for so long are so young at 35, 36, early 40s, and some have died, you know some have some extreme you know illnesses, heart conditions and stuff like that. And now these conversations that I thought were never going to happen because people had the blinders on and were believing all the fake news that they were feeding us.
Yeah.
Those blinders are peeking up. That one, at least one eye, it's peeking through the blinder right now, and they're starting to have those conversations. So I don't know if you guys have experienced that either, but I've experienced that where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that, yeah, exactly. Like us talking today, people, the as you say, the blinders have been opened, and we're realizing, hey, there. We've always known that there's strength. Like when it comes to sports, right? There's strength in numbers. When you have a team, you come together. I say sports because I just like sports. And I just say, when you're a sports team, a sports team, you look at a team and they're united, they cheer each other on, you know, they root for one another, whether, no matter what. And so, whether you're California, Washington, Colorado, anywhere in the United States, anywhere around the globe, anywhere. But we're just lucky in the United States of America to be able to speak freely like we are. And yeah, so just everything you guys just said is just so amazing to get to speak about and share and to hear. Because for your daughter to have known about in regards to someone who you, as the doing the Latino Free Mind podcast, and then becoming a part of the LUCA, and then going out and I say canvassing. I usually call it
Mhm.
like door to door, because you go and you
Yeah,
speak to
yeah.
people.
Hmm.
Doing that for different, you have quite a few incredible candidates for all different positions. Denise Aguilar Mendez, so
Hmm.
she's for what is it, the 13th district,
Yeah.
and she's like, you guys pushed me so far to where now I never wanted to be a politics, but I'm gonna be a part of it because no one is standing up. I'm gonna stand up. I'm gonna use my voice, and that voice comes from getting knowledge, educating yourself, getting this internet and learning and researching, comparing and contrast and seeing what different states are going through. Like your Nick, you've had him on your podcast a few times. He's a retired officer, and he's running for another, what is it, a Senate? Is that what was that?
State Assembly.
Yeah, State Assembly.
I think it's
I mean,
53 or 58. Sorry, forgetting off the top
yeah,
of my
I
head, but
think
one
you
of those
guys
two.
have him coming up again. Yeah, you guys have a lot of incredible people that have came on, whether it be your fighter series or your get to know your candidates. You've had a lot of incredible people come on, and so just to kind of reference my the state of Washington. Um, so I live in the 38th legislative district, but with LUCA in Washington State, it's been a slow, California, it took a little while, and then you guys started growing with the LUCA in California, and I'm really just hoping and getting the word out and communicating and letting people know, you don't have to be Latino, Hispanic, anything. You can be Laos American, Vietnamese, Black American. It doesn't matter. It comes to the values. Like Luca, bringer of light. You know, giving one another, you know, the support to support where you may be strong. So I am shy. I never really would have said I would be going on podcasts and going to rallies and going to meet and greets, but I am because when it's something that you believe in. So when I say believe in, like we've got a candidate who's running for Washington State governor, and his name is Sammy Bird. So he is, and hopefully he'll be able to come on your guys' podcast and you guys can talk with him. And he is not a politician, and that's one of the big things. And for my state, the state of Washington, I think where we're going to be able to see some accomplishments is if we can get some new blood in, new people, and that are not career politicians. And when I say career politician, I would think that would be like somebody who's always done it for a long period of time. But it's more so. Other than that, that's one of the areas in my state of Washington there needs to be a change. There's also career politicians. People are receiving money to vote certain ways or to run. Like say, I just that's the one thing about Sammy Bird. He was like, anybody who supports me, we don't fling mud with mud. I will not speak bad about anybody. But Luca, where we've endorsed him, and he says, I'm so excited to be endorsed by Luca. I like to be called a Black American, not African American. I'm a Black American man. I was born and grew up in my younger years in the inner city of Oakland, and he moved to Seattle or Washington State when he was like 9 or 10 years old. He grew up with a single mother and multiple siblings, and he is somebody who I've never found myself someone who would want to talk about a political candidate. But this person, I'm just knowing that one, it's somebody new. So we've had Jay Inslee as our governor for Washington State for multiple sessions now. The last one that I remember, that I really, really remember, was somebody who was, I remember that he campaigned, that people voted in, was Gary Locke. He was great. That was back before we lost this Seattle Supersonics. And now, so we've got a new run and a new election going on. And I really would like to just encourage and bring his name up. He is my brother in the Lord. His name is Sammy Bird. None of us are perfect. He is a human, and he is honest about who he is. He's lived a life of service. He dropped out of high school. He went back, went into the military, and he, ended up gaining education and served for many years. And then he was honorably discharged, and I believe in his late 30s, early 40s, went back in, and he's a Marine. he was served as a special ops Green Beret. Special forces. I want to say Green Beret. I believe so. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct. But I had the opportunity to have this campaign say, yeah, let's meet, let's talk. Oh, thank you so much. Yes, let's get together and learning who he is and who support him. He's just an awesome American. He fought for our country as a veteran. And LUCA went down to Everett, Washington at the Cruise and Colby event, and we supported Sammy Bird. And his campaign slogan is "Send the bird to Olympia." Just love that. Send the bird to Olympia. Olympia
That's
is our state
nice.
capital. So yeah, no, but on Veterans Day though, I was with him and he got there, and he lives several hours away. He's on the road constantly. He's all about getting into communities and meeting the people. And Veterans Day, I seen him. I go, can I be a little video of you? And I said, here I have 3 questions. And he goes, I showed him the questions, and he goes, I don't want to talk about my opponent. I go, okay, you know what? Forget that. Let's just you speak from your heart, and when you're done, you do a thumbs up, and I'll end it. And I that's what I really admire about someone who could be running for any position. Governor of Washington State is a big one because people refer to the political donor class, the elite establishment, but that's really what my state of Washington has been. I mean, for so many years, people have said to me, my entire life, I'm 37 years old. My entire life, I was told, why are you, why do you care? Don't, because I would always, my uncle was an elective sheriff over in Eastern Washington, Chelan County. Uh, just family who's lived a life of service. So I stand behind someone who wants to come out and volunteer their time when they don't have to. Like I said, it's not a
Mm.
career politician. He's a veteran and he sees that the state of Washington needs a change. We do not need the same old, same old. We need someone to come in who isn't beholden to any one party. He wants to lead everyone.
Yeah. And
And
that's one of the reasons why, I saw that bumper sticker that I told Daniel about. Um, I loved it because it did say, if the 99% voted, the 1% wouldn't matter. And
yeah,
and that's one thing that we have to realize is that um, we have to urge people. We have to have that conversation so that people go out and vote. Number one. And we kind of joke around, but not joke around is that if you don't vote, you don't get an
yeah.
opportunity to complain about anything
Nope.
because you didn't get out there and you didn't vote.
Is that a joke? I don't
And
think that was a joke.
No, it's so true that it just brings like excitement to anyone's face who says it because that's what I've been saying is you can say a lot of people I've spoken to are like I'm not interested. Oh, I'm so turned off with voting, or I'm like and not in a way of confrontation, but kind of just sum it up. I would slowly and kindly say so then you don't mind the gas prices, you don't mind the cost of food, the economy that we're in Washington State. You know, when you're in high school and you're graduating, people are graduating this week in Washington, and people cannot afford to live here. It's so expensive. And what you said about that bumper sticker, actually, that's one of the things that turned me to put an ear and listen to Sammy Bird. He said, someone brought a microphone to his face, and he was like on the side of the road with a sign with a bunch of people. And they said, "Are you Sammy Bird? Are you running for governor?" He goes, "Yeah, that's me." And he said, I would just say it's not about Democrat, Republican, or Independent. If we were to focus on the 93% that we agree on, and
mm,
not the 7%
Mm-hmm.
that we disagree on, we would actually come together and get so much done. And he said,
Yeah.
let's do that in Washington. Let's focus on what we agree on, which is, like I said, lower gas prices, cost of food. Washington State and California are our farmers are a huge part of our economy. and we have to focus on the things that matter. But what were you gonna say though?
Oh no, you know, I'm just gonna piggyback off of what you said right now. Is if we focus, like for example, if we're talking about school, is that from one person to another, whether it's a different ethnicity or background, if we agree that we're not going to focus on ideology in school and we actually want the kids to learn, 1 + 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is, 4, and stuff like that, then that's something that we can agree with and we can work with. But
Mhm.
they don't they they want us to leave certain things out of school, but they want us to um conform to what their ideologies are. And that's something that we can't apologize about, be unapologetic in the sense that we can't have that, and we have to put our foot down. um but at the end of the day, I guess what I'm trying to say is that we can agree to leave the ideology, out of school and focus on, what the kids are there to do, and it's learn. And it's learn, you know, English, math, science, real science, not fake science. But um, and I think we can come to an agreement, on that type of stuff. And something that you said right now that I want to tie back to you said earlier. You said everything's really expensive in Washington, as it is across the nation, I can imagine,
Yeah,
especially
yeah,
here in California too. Um, is that I think that obviously it's planned, because what you said earlier, about, young couples or a young lady, young woman, expecting, and or a young couple or a couple period expecting a child.
yeah.
You start second guessing whether you're gonna have that child because it is too expensive. You know, you can't afford daycare. Daycare costs more a week than someone's salary a week. So then you
Yeah.
start thinking about, that. So I was telling Daniel is we've come to this point where I never thought that we're gonna get to, is whether it was gonna be cost effective to have a child or not. And if you
So
think
I
about that, that is so sad, that we've come to this time and date in society, that we literally have to, well, not we, but people have to think
no, but
whether
yeah,
it's
we the
cost
people,
effective,
yeah,
to have a
yeah,
child or not. That's
yeah.
insane.
It's
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
That's it sounds crazy when you put it that way.
But it's
No, I
It's
mean, if
true.
you
but
really
it's
It,
true.
stop and
Yeah,
think
yeah,
about it,
it's about
yeah.
just speaking our truth, so that not to be afraid to say it. And
Mhm.
that's how incredible God is. You might not have everything you need, but I guarantee you, when you say no, you know what? I'm not gonna think about the negative. I have the
mhm,
opportunity
mhm,
to bring life in this world. I get to have my own little posse, my own people coming from me, and myself and their father, or whatever it may be. It is a blessing to bring life and into this world, and it's a necessity for our to repopulate and to have you know people wanting and keeping their children, or not abort. No longer should it be, oh, you can afford it, abortion. It should be okay. You know what? There are so many, not even just young. I mean, I'm almost 40, and if I were to have another child, I wouldn't think that now, but I mean, that would be something that I would be like, wow. I want my children that I have now to have their necessities. But how sick and sad of a place for society to be where we are. That's why we have to take where we take ground and gain ground where we can. So if local and our local areas, if we all just start doing our part, reaching out across the aisle, like when Sammy Bird said, what a reference is similar to what that bumper sticker you said you seen, where he said 93%, and I'm like, wait, I'm like counting, I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. If we focus on that 93%, that 7% that is blown up so big doesn't seem so big, right? Like if people are, if we're focusing on humanity, on living, on our
Yeah.
cost of food, on our cost of gas, so that we can get to work to buy food, so that we can be able to afford to put gas in the vehicle to get to work, to keep a roof over our heads, and take out party, the party lines. I think that, um, my children's father, when I met him, he had a landscaping company. Well, he still has a landscaping company, but he also had a store, and in his store he had a huge Obama sign, right? And I'm someone who, like, I don't ever judge. That's one thing. Like, my family served, in multiple tours and wars, and so I believe that everybody has their right to their own opinion. And
Yeah.
thankfully, I didn't judge him on that, right? Because I wouldn't have my children. But, now fast forward to where we are, I never would say, here, watch this, listen to this. But him forming his own opinion, having children, seeing what goes on, you realize it really, you know, what is it? I think Denise and her father, who was running for District 13, said the same thing. And a lot of people say it. The Democratic Party left me. I didn't
Yeah.
leave them. They left me.
Hmm.
It's just, it's about we the people, as not just we the people, Republican, the Democrat, or Independent. We the people of the United States of America have to take responsibility, you know, gain ground where we can, join grassroots organizations and movements where you can have your voice elevated to the point to where you guys are in California, and we follow you closely here in Washington. Everyone in California that we can, um, and just come together and talk. And even though we're in different states, we have family, we have friends, or just people on the internet that will come across this. I just hope that people relate and see that it's not Democrat, Republican. It's not, that it should never be that. It should be look around you. What
Yeah.
is your grocery bill? What is your heating cost? I know the cap and trade laws that were passed in Washington State have raised the cost of building to where it is pricing the new homeless um, population and the new um, minority financially, like not having enough income to survive, is our seniors. And how sad is that? Our seniors who have worked for so many years, pay into the system, pay taxes, and they can't even afford to stay in a home. So many of the homeless are not always, you know, um, they're not always people who choose to be there. When I say choose to be there, made choices that got them in a situation to where they weren't able to you know keep a home. But that doesn't always mean because they are mentally ill or drug addicted. It could just be because they chose to keep their job in medical and dental and vision and put gas in the car and get to work, and they're having to sleep with their family in a vehicle. I mean, it is horrible when it's in Washington State. It's so important to bring that up. And Semi Bird, I've seen him going down to where there are huge homeless encampments, and he's barbecuing. He's speaking with people, and he's like, I am no better, no different than you. Like, we are humanity. I want to see a change. Semi says, I want to, if I am honored and able to earn your vote on August 1st for the election cycle here, that we will win big time in November, because what happened here, it's so hot in Washington. I have my jacket on, but I want to represent LUCA, you know,
Yeah.
because it's hot everywhere. But so, um, just real quick, so the Republican National, or the Republican Convention in Washington State, was held in Spokane, and it was the most coolest thing. Like, my my children, they're like, "Oh, you're talking about politics," and now they realize, no, this is my life. It's not politics, So Semi Bird went to the Republican convention in Spokane, and the largest number of delegates ever in the state of Washington showed up in person, over 1,800 delegates. And so what happened was there's like a questionnaire that candidates have to fill out, and it's based on from today 15 years back. So I will refer to his not rivalry, I would just say the other person who's running for Republican governor, DR, will reference as that, so people can do their own research. He was a sheriff in King County, so that's one of the biggest, highly populated counties in Washington State for many years. And after he was sheriff, I don't think it was sheriff. I think it was not just, because we love our officers. There's never just. He wasn't a sheriff. He was a police officer in King County. And then for 10 years, he was in the Senate. In the past 5 years, DR was in Haiti. And I'm not quite sure. People can look into what he was doing there. But so what he said is, Semi Bird is a liar, and I'm a police officer. So that was like the headline. But then, okay, so like people, they put out these headlines, right? They sound horrible. Like, okay, let's look into this. So in that convention, everyone said, "Wait a minute, no, we showed up here. We want our voices heard. What is the facts?" And so Semi said, "Yeah, when I want to say in '94, might have been '95, between '94 and '96, prior to meeting his wife in '97." He had applied for a loan under his father's name, is what he explained it to us, because everything that came at him, he said, "You know what, I'm going to release everything true and let Washington citizens make their choice." And so he was like, "Yeah, I did make bad choices. I had a bad financial situation. But actually it brought my father and I back. We have a relationship now. I've fixed my wrongs, made them right." And so Jim Walsh led a vote and said, "Okay, you know what? He didn't lie. He's not a liar. He didn't lie. This was 15 years was the question base." So he said, "Let's take a vote for every delegate that's here, because there's the highest. Actually, I think it was over 1,800. I want to say 2,100. Over 1,800 delegates showed up from Washington State in person, and 97% voted. One at a time, each one counted, and in a super majority, Semi Bird won." And it said, "You win the vote. 97% of the delegates at the Spokane Washington State Convention in Spokane. Semi Bird, you are winning the endorsement of the GOP." So it ended up being a great thing. People got to have their voices heard the way it should be. Where it's not just I say you this, you say that. No, everybody have their own vote counted. Then fast forward, things are going good. You see people going places, and I mentioned I seen LUCA went to an event for Semi Bird in Everett, Washington, called Cruising Colby, and that was over Veterans Day. Horrible allergy season, good weather. A lot of people out there. I'm talking a couple thousand, over 2, 3, maybe 4,000 people minimum were there. I got to witness him just interact with everyone, and like I said, I took a video of him, and I asked him, do ask questions, and I just said, "Here, you just speak, and when you're done, do a thumb up." And what he said is, I want to support all Washington citizens. Let's bring someone in who's not a career politician. I want to open the books on day one, not Republican, Democrat, a third party. Let's do a third party audit and see where the money's going for the homeless, for the education, just for just everything in our state. And so during that weekend, we found out on actually Monday, Memorial Day, that there was a hit piece put out, and it was said, the label for this one was "Stolen Valor," which, like, stolen valor, that sounds horrible, right? So what it ended up being was the opportunity, once again, for the candidate who was endorsing Semi Bird for Washington State Governor. He was able to say, no, stolen valor, no. Here, let me put everything out for everyone in Washington State to see and make their own opinion. So he was able to have his life of service, have a spotlight on the truth and on that, and instead of stolen valor being the hit piece to try to take him down, after the delegates in Washington State voted for a 72% majority, supermajority, never ever has it been that high before. You know, he had another opportunity to show himself, and then you really see the elite class, the donor elite in our state, who was willing to lie, you know, even on Memorial Day to a veteran and to slander that person. So a strong man as a veteran, you know, you're able to see that they're willing to stop at nothing. I mean, even the person who's our Republican nominee for the general election for the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, he was just uh, something that's not even a felony. He was charged on all accounts as a felon. So I'm just like, just if you see what's going on, you see that the decks are stacked against everyone, and we should come together, and in that alone, and see that a past president this could happen too. Someone who is a veteran over Memorial Day, they want to stop at nothing to slander and bring people down, and I just look forward to our LUCA event. We're going to be having an event LUCA's going to be doing for the Semi Bird campaign in July. It'll be on our LUCA websites, on all of our social media, as well as Washington State, Washington.luca. Um, if you would like to come here, Washington State, come and join us. Um, We'll be having Semi Bird there. We're going to be having a few speakers. We're going to have a couple of our sheriffs that are going to be there to speak. And I just am looking forward to have an opportunity to engage with the community and have our candidate for governor, Semi Bird, speak. You know, ask questions, do a meet and greet, and I just look forward to seeing what this next election cycle brings us. See if all this work and time that we put in it, we may not win, but you know, I think that I seen on one of your episodes, you guys had said, you know, we may not win, but we don't give up. We keep going. You know, we keep going, and slowly we will. You know, you guys are doing awesome in California. Like you have the highest people to vote for. That was what I was saying about the Aguilar Mendez. You had such a high turnout for votes, and that's what it's about. Is hoping that we bring out new people, bring out people that maybe never would have voted, just to vote, so they can have their voices heard, and have, you know, their life and their families' lives affected in a better way, to where it's more cost effective, and the economy and economic uh, area that you live in be, you know, better, and people just you know, start experiencing a
Yeah.
better economy that we all deserve.
No, and for the record, we agree with you. There's a lot of people that are recognizing what the manipulation is, and what I'm referring to is the attacks. Is that, just like how they attacked Donald Trump, with these bogus, trials that they've been having. I can't even. It seems like forever, and even the left is saying that this is bogus, and now they're switching over, to the right, to vote for him, and people that say that they would have never have voted for him. So I think they're recognizing that, and that's the reason why they're switching. And to the point that you were making, is they're doing this to local candidates too, and I think the people are hip to what the game is, and they're recognizing it too. So, there's a lot of optimism behind that, and we're looking forward to it too. We've been saying since the beginning of the year, 2024 is going to be wild, and sure enough, it's been wild.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of positive things that we foresee, and will be coming.
Mm-hmm.
Um, from the very beginning, I've been saying that we are the majority. People with conservative values are the majority. We're just not loud and outspoken like the fringe left is. And us communicating the way that we're communicating and getting united, I think is just showing that more and more. We joke around and say, validation time.
Mm-hmm.
As things start coming out, it's just validation after validation after validation. So I'm just waiting for that day of validation on November, to
Yeah.
It'll
come
happen.
and celebrate,
Yeah.
and get strong, even stronger. And the point that we made about maybe not winning, um, you know,
Yeah.
uh, the candidates that we're backing or supporting, is that it's still a win, because as long as people turn out and show the support, that's a win to me, because
Yeah.
that's just going to give momentum to someone else, or propel them to the next step. Next time around we're going to learn what we needed to do last time around, and we're going to do it this time around, and maybe it's just a little bit of more support. And I'm sure that will happen, and it will come, and we'll get to the point where we will have someone that we elect to represent us, instead of the funny business that we see happening all the time.
Yeah. He was actually Semi Bird, who's running for governor of Washington State after the convention, where he had that super majority of the 72% of the delegates supporting him for Washington State governor. He actually was contacted and he was told, drop out. There's 400, I would say $400,000 in an account, and that'll be yours, and there'll be more coming your way if you drop out and you run for lieutenant governor. So, like
Wow.
you said, money business is going on, and I think that that's the great thing that people who are original and genuine, you can see that
Mm-hmm.
it shines through. Fake and or pay to play politics, people have seen that now. And nowadays, like you said, with the Shyamalan situation, with the like a past president now has RICO charges against him. I mean, if anything, that should bring out more and more people to support him. And from my understanding, it has, and just to show, like I said, it shouldn't be Republican or Democrat. Let's come together. Like Semi says, that 93%. Let's focus on what we agree on: free and fair elections, election integrity. You know, um, One of the big things I just would like to say that I've learned is, you know, in your community, people can become community chairs, precinct chairs, and people do volunteer, like I said, for election integrity. If you're in Washington State and you want to join LUCA, Latinos United for Conservative Action, we would love anyone who's willing to come. You don't have to put your face on social media if you just want to be someone, to come with us and meet and, you know, hand flyers out and, introduce candidates to the community. We would love anyone who's willing. And I'm sure, Luca in California, that, they're putting their boots to the ground and they're all really working together, building a beautiful team. Melinda, the president of LUCA, is working hard, just trying to get as many states involved so that we can work on one community at a time. And with everyone doing that, we should be able to really make a change for this future, for our future generations. And I don't know about you, but for myself, like I started off with, I was told this is a blue state, it's not worth it. But I'm raising my children and my friends and family around me to never say that. And that nothing is never not worth it. If it's worth our time, people will start to see it. It'll be worth their time as well, like the gas prices and the economy and just the day to day things that are affecting everyone. And I know that during Donald Trump's last time in office, when he was the 45th president, he was incredible. And I'm talking like gas was under $2 a gallon. I mean, I've got a truck and it was less than $60 to fill that baby up. And then the premium was only less than $2 too. So I mean, now it's almost $4.60 for premium gas a gallon. And it's pretty over
It's
120
tough.
bucks doesn't even get you 3/4 of a tank.
Your guys' gas is
That's
cheap.
like
Ours is over
rare.
$5 over here.
Yeah.
You guys are living good.
Yeah.
No, we're living struggling.
Yeah, I know, right?
Uh,
But no, I mean, yeah, we'll definitely we'll reach out to Simi Bird, and you know, so he can they get
Yeah,
him on the podcast and talk to him about the campaign and all that.
so I'm gonna hype you up, brother. You're my brother in the Lord. I'm gonna hype you up. I'm gonna give them your number and vice versa. And you guys figured out you go. And I said, Robin, shout out to Robin. You're doing an awesome job with Bird and his campaign and schedule, getting everybody in there that wants to be in there to support him. So no, Robin said, give them Semi's number. He wants to be on there. Yes, thank you. We want any time you can give us. We're excited. You know,
Yeah,
he's an
yeah.
awesome
Well,
pen. He's a cool guy. He's fluent in Spanish and Mandarin, and he's lived a life of service, and he just would be an awesome, awesome change for Washington State, and it would be a beacon for the country to see Washington State, the blue state, going for no longer paid politicians. We've got a Real America's Voice going to be coming out. I'm really excited to be meeting with Ben on there.
no.
We're going to be talking with him. So we're just trying to elevate Washington State, and we really appreciate you guys taking the time and having us on.
Yeah. No,
uh,
anytime. We appreciate you coming on and sharing, your story and what's going on in Washington. Um, it's informative, right? And like you said, once you get to talk to people, you get to see, how genuine they are. And I really appreciate you coming on and sharing the stuff that you shared. I'm sure some of the stuff you
Yeah,
shared isn't easy to share, but we appreciate that you did
it's
that.
important. Yeah, important.
Yeah.
Thanks so
yeah.
much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
No, and thank you. You're right. You said earlier sometimes you have to step out of your comfort zone, to
Yes.
make things happen. And some of us don't like the social media and taking pictures and doing all that stuff. But
Yeah, I'm one of them.
yeah, and I can relate to you. I'm not big on that either. But like I said, you have to step out of your comfort zone, and then
It's a good tool.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, and if one of the things that I told myself is I can't complain about things if I'm not active. So I need to get active and and just you know get out of your comfort zone. That's it, and
Yeah.
go out there and support people that are gonna make the change that you're supportive of. So
You don't
that's the only
want to look at
thing.
it later and say, "Man, I should have done this. I wish I did that."
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
for sure.
I've got
no
grandkids, and I
regrets.
don't want them to say, hey, you guys messed everything up for us now. So it's
Yeah.
a lot of weight on our shoulders right now. We don't want to make it doom and gloom. I think you're an optimist, like we're optimists. So there's a lot of good things that are gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, my kids are like, "Are you done?"
And
No,
Like,
we're
you're
we're
done.
good.
apologize
We're good.
now.
No, but now
No,
we'll,
but
we'll wrap it up.
you're
But
funny.
no, thank you for
Yeah,
coming on. Thank you for sharing, and we'll reach out to Bird and we'll get the Bird on LFM.
let's get that bird. Let's send that. I mean, how can you beat that slogan? Send the bird to Olympia. Let's give Olympia the bird. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, then, everybody. Well, thanks everybody that tuned in, that hit the like button,
Yeah,
share it, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow, uh, the Instagrams. If you follow us, we did a collab post with LUCA Washington, so you should be able to find that account also. But yeah, we're trying to spread a message, and we thank everybody that tuned in and listened in today, and you know that's it for tonight. And like we say at the end of every episode, peace be with you.
Peace be with you.